Hello and welcome. You're tuned into Times Now. This is the newspaper show and I'm Poonam Burde. For 2 months now, the lockdown has been in place and several of you have not been able to pick up your newspaper with your cup of tea or coffee, which is why we are getting to you the top headlines that are making the news in these newspapers. Let's begin with the TOI, the Times of India. Today is the Sunday. This is the Sunday Times. Of course, the biggest story that remains in every newspaper is about the corona count and the number of cases that are increasing in the country day by day. The top headline on the Sunday Times is 28% of COVID cases are asymptomatic. This is what ICMR, which is the top medical body in the country, has said. Also, the biggest news today is about what happens tomorrow, beginning June 1st, that is, because we are entering unlock phase 1. Now, unlocking India after over 2 months of the lockdown is going to happen in 3 phases. That is what the top headline here in Sunday Times reads. Malls, restaurants are all going to open in beginning June 8th, I beg your pardon. The night curfew has also shrunk. That timing has now been reduced. It is going to be from 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. as opposed to 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., which was during the earlier part of the lockdown. But the most important bit of information here is that the states have the prerogative to decide whether or not they want these relaxations in place. Of course, that will depend on specific states and the cases that are coming from those particular states. Another big information coming in is about Delhi. Kejriwal yesterday, Arvind Kejriwal, the chief minister, held a press conference. He said you cannot have a permanent lockdown. This even as a number of cases are increasing in the capital. 1,163 fresh cases were reported in the national capital in the last 24 hours. The recent news also about the standoff in between China and India and its proxy Nepal has also been making news. That is also a piece of information that is on the front page of the Sunday Times today. Border born in no man's land between India and Nepal. That is also what we are talking about here. This morning, we're given to understand that about 8,000 new cases of COVID have also been recorded across the country. That also is the big information. There is also talk of Shramik trains and deaths, unfortunately, that have occurred on board these trains. 80 so far deaths have been recorded on board these trains. 56 are just from 2 states, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. These are the top headlines here on Sunday Times. We are also going to get you some information that is on the Navbharat Times. Of course, that headline also reads Unlock 1.0, which begins tomorrow, that is June 1st. आवाजावी से बंदिशें हटी, 8 जून से खुलेंगी मॉल मंदिर. That is the most important bit. Malls, restaurants, small businesses are going to get an impetus as far as the new phase of exit from this particular lockdown begins tomorrow. That is the biggest headline in all newspapers today. Also about Delhi, very specific information about a certain app that is going to be released by the Aam Aadmi Party, by the Delhi government, of course. कल आएगा ऐप, बताएगा किस अस्पताल में कितने बेड और वेंटिलेटर खाली हैं. This is going to be very crucial information for families of COVID patients, for patients of course, and for those who are maybe showing symptoms, who want to take care, to take precautions. They would know how far away from their locality are these hospitals where beds are available, where ventilators are available, and in case they do unfortunately contract COVID, then what can they do next? That is going to be the important information that comes out from this particular app that is going to be released by the Delhi government shortly. Moving on to some economic news now. The Economic Times, this is the Economic Times magazine that comes out every Sunday. It talks about the silver lining as we move towards a phase where we are now learning to live with coronavirus. It says, as the initial panic wears off, companies are now identifying islands of opportunities in the ocean of COVID chaos and jockeying to harness them. Remember, it is now very, very important to move away from the phase of dealing with this pandemic, just the pandemic, also moving towards of how we can move towards normalcy living with coronavirus. That is the most important bit. The biggest information, again, on the Economic Times as well, the top headline here is about the lockdown exit, which, remember, comes in force from tomorrow, which is June 1st, but all the relaxations that will be lifted, especially from places of worship or malls or restaurants, that comes effective from June 8th, which is 1 week later. In containment zones, all restrictions will remain until the end of this month, which is end of June, I beg your pardon. Outside containment zones, there are going to be several relaxations. Of course, that also depends on respective states' government. We have a list of what's permitted and what's not. This is the most important bit of information in the Economic Times magazine today. 3 important things that are going to be permitted beginning 8th of June as per the MHA directive is places of worship, hospitals, restaurants, hotels, hospitality services, I beg your pardon, shopping malls. Not permitted as of now, and a call will be taken by respective state governments and the Home Ministry in a short while, in a few weeks maybe, is going to be on metro rail services, international air travel, cinema halls, gymnasiums, swimming pools, bars, auditoriums, and large functions and congregations. Schools, colleges, and educational institutions, these are most important. Remember, students and parents have been anxious for several weeks now about whether or not they're going to waste a year. What happens to the academic calendar? A decision is likely to be taken in July, whether or not schools, colleges, other educational institutions are going to open beginning the month of July. Some international news that also the Economic Times is talking about is about Donald Trump and the spat he is with Twitter in. It talks about rage tweeting policy. Now, platform regulation is complex and unfinished work. Long-term interests of individual liberty and innovation should be given primacy, not Silicon Valley companies or governments of the day. This talks about the new executive order that Donald Trump signed just a few days ago, which makes social media giants like Facebook, Twitter, etc. liable for the content that is posted on their particular platform. The Economic Times also goes on to talk about the silver lining. This is, of course, their cover story. It talks about how we could deal with this pandemic. Also, the economic implications that not just the pandemic, but also the subsequent lockdown that is going to have on certain economies, not just, of course, India, but also the global economy, and how India is going to tackle that. The global economy is going to have implications on how India is affected, how India deals with it. They have quoted Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant. They also have the former Commerce Minister Suresh Prabhu. They talk about the silver lining that India should see in this crisis, an opportunity that really is going to come out economically, financially for India's economy. These are the top headlines in the top 3 newspapers this morning. We are going to now move on to the city editions. We are going to pick up 5 metros for you. Let's begin with the national capital. Kangana, my colleague, now joins us. I am going to go straight to her and ask her about what Kejriwal said yesterday. He did say that we cannot be in lockdown forever, Kangana, but the most important bit is that app that is going to be released by the Kejriwal government today, which will give you very specific information about ventilators and hospitals and what you can do if you contract COVID-19.
Well, exactly. This is the information that we are getting. Kejriwal has made it very clear that being the chief minister, he's made it very clear that we can't have a permanent lockdown. So we have to live with the coronavirus. And in the light of that, he's also announced that in the first phase of the new lockdown 5.0, there will be restaurants that will be opening. Plus, not only that, religious places will be opening on an odd and even basis probably. But also the fact that the shopping malls will be opening. That was one thing that had shut down immediately after it was announced that people will be working from home. So after the work from concept, the first thing that was shut down in the national capital was cinema halls and shopping complexes. So now that the news has come that the shopping malls will be opening under the guidelines of the MHA on an odd and even basis. Remember, earlier only the essential shops were being opened, and now that the shopping malls will be opening on an odd and even basis, we will have to wait and watch about how the situation will be handled at this fact. Because remember, total 1163 cases have been reported in New Delhi yesterday in the last 24 hours. And that yesterday was the 3rd consecutive day where Delhi was witnessing cases which were going above 1,000 per day. So that's the highest number of spike that has gone till now. And Delhi has 123 containment zones. So when we look at the containment zones also, things which will be opening, they will be opening in the non-containment zones. So all of these things will have to be managed by the Delhi government, and we will have to wait and watch for more further information that will come by tonight.
Absolutely. The MHA guidelines just came out yesterday. State governments are regrouping. They are deciding on what to do next. Delhi is also one of them. Kejriwal is going to take a decision. We are expecting, of course, a comment from the Aam Aadmi Party. Thank you, Kangana, for the moment. Let's move on to what the Bengaluru edition holds for us here. It does, of course, talk about lockdown, which has been contained. Unlocking is going to be in 3 phases. But the most important bit is about how transport is going to be taken care of by the state government, because offices are going to open up. Until now, only essential services were working. Public transport was available only for those particular employees. But now we're given to understand that the state is opening up. Several states are opening up. Karnataka is one of them. Imran now joins us for more on this. Imran, we're given to understand that AC buses are likely to hit the roads again.
Well, absolutely. In fact, since May 19, already the inter-district buses are plying. Was also for the essentials for the office goers here in Bangalore. The BMTC announced that 70 Volvo buses, air-conditioned buses, will be there. Apart from that, they're also supplying buses to private companies who are their employees to the offices now. The most important is that the 30 people will be there in only one buses, so that is what the strict norms are there. Many of the apps aggregators also say that till the business completely resume, they will still have issues with supplying the buses there. They say that at the moment the demand is slow because it's still not offices fully operational. Many of them still choose to function little late. Many offices still saying that even though the permission is given for offices to work from June 1st, many are still hesitant to work, so their employee numbers will be low. So that's at the moment but BMTC say that it is all geared up. 70 buses, instead Volvo buses will fly, and any private persons or individual demand, there also will supply will be there.
Absolutely, Imran. Thank you for joining us with those details. We are shifting focus now to Tamil Nadu and the capital city there, Chennai. The death toll in Tamil Nadu has now unfortunately reached 160. 219 Chennai Corporation staffers have also tested positive. But the most important news that is coming in from Tamil Nadu, from Chennai edition of today's newspaper, is the cap that the Tamil Nadu government now plans to put on treatment costs. Remember, Times Now had also exposed how private hospitals are fleecing patients and their families. Shabir is now joining us with more on this. Shabir, this cap on treatment cost is going to come as a big relief for people in the state.
Well, that's right. It's a huge relief for people in the state at a time when cases are going up in Chennai and 4 other districts. As far as the medical experts are concerned, Chennai and 4 other districts, including Tiruvallur, Kanchipuram, Chengalpet, they cannot have any kind of relaxations. There has to be lockdown in place. That is what the medical panel has recommended to the Tamil Nadu government. So this comes at a time when more and more cases are being reported in these areas, and more people are opting for treatment either in government or private. And some of them are going to private hospitals for treatment, and private hospitals, the hospitals are fleecing patients in the name of COVID-19 treatment. Most of the asymptomatic patients are just given a room and there is no treatment in place, no medicine, but the bill is something which is unprecedented. Every patient who has walked into a hospital has got a shock of his life, saying that they have paid 1 lakh rupees for PPEs and overall 3 lakh rupees for COVID-19 treatment. So this is something that was brought to light by Times Now, and now the Tamil Nadu government has decided that there will be a cap. They have held meetings with the private hospitals, and in a day or two, an announcement will be made.
Absolutely, Shabir. An announcement is expected from the state government. They're an official one, but we are given to understand that a huge relief is coming through in the next days. Thank you for joining us. Moving on to West Bengal and what the Kolkata edition holds for us. The most important piece of information that the people of Kolkata want to know today is about what happens from tomorrow. Unfortunately for them, the shutdown is going to continue until June 15th. That's what we're given to understand. Tamal joins us for more on this. Tamal, several relaxations are going to be in place across the country as per the MHA guidelines. that will happen from June 8th, but we're given to understand that West Bengal is extending that lockdown until the 15th of June.
Well, Poonam, if we call it a new normal life, then the new normal life would be resuming from 8th of June onwards. A reflection of that would also be coming up from 1st of June onwards. There had not been too much of restrictions here in the state of West Bengal because Mamata Banerjee had started giving relaxation from 27th of May onwards. At this point in time, the temporary restrictions would open from June, even though the central government has advised them to open from 8th of June, but the state has stuck by its stance of 1st of June. That's one. Second of all, the schools would be opening from July. In between, the shops are being allowed to open, malls, restaurants would be allowed to open as per the MHA guideline from 8th of June. Private offices would be allowed to open from 8th of June. But the management would be deciding as what would be specified. The government has encouraged and appealed for work from home culture. As far as government offices are concerned, the 50% strength has now gone up to 70%, which means 70% of government officials would be on a rotational basis, and that too, that would also be increasing output. Private buses are flying, the government buses are also being allowed to fly, inter-district buses fly. The restriction is only sitting capacity passengers would be allowed to board the bus. No passenger would be allowed to stand. So these are the relaxations which have been given, and we also know that the state has broken down the containment zones to A, B, C, affected, buffer, and C territories. The affected zones will see restrictions so that the virus doesn't spread. Apart from affected zones, buffer most part of the city and most part of the state.
Right.
Normal activities, normal lives resuming, or rather new normal lives resuming from 8th of June onwards.
Absolutely. It's going to be a new normal, not just for people of Kolkata and West Bengal, but for the rest of the country. Also, it's been over 2 months that we've been in lockdown. Thank you for joining us with those details, Tamal. Moving on to the maximum city. Maharashtra, remember, is the worst affected as far as COVID-19 is concerned. The number of cases is only increasing, and the state government has now a huge task on its hand. Arunil joins us for more. Arunil, the centre has sought relaxations from states, but the ball really is in the state government's court. We're given to understand that Uddhav Thackeray is not really in the favor of relaxing several of these things that the centre has agreed upon.
Well, Poonam, last night CM Uddhav Thackeray had a meeting with the NCP Supremo Sharad Pawar and several other senior leaders were also there. The meeting happened at the Varsha Bungalow, and now we get to know that today the CM of Maharashtra will be discussing with his senior bureaucrats, and only after that a decision will be expected. With respect to the government is concerned, it is understandable that in fact Nawab Malik, who's from the NCP, Sharad Pawar has also mentioned about it, saying that some kind of economic activity needs to be started in the state of Maharashtra, also in the cities of Mumbai and Pune. So NCP is in the favor of starting of economic activity, but the Shiv Sena and CM Uddhav Thackeray in particular have been adopting a very cautious approach. In fact, he had a meeting with the editors of different news agencies day before yesterday, in which he had clearly said that at least in the red zone areas of Mumbai and Pune, relaxations with respect to the lockdown cannot be expected, because you can see the number of cases that are coming up from the cities of Mumbai and Pune. It is extremely high. Yesterday also around 99 deaths were reported in the state of Maharashtra. Close to 3,000 cases are being reported basically in the state of Maharashtra. So CM also mentioned about it, saying that probably the virus is at its peak now, and at this time, if the relaxations will be given, this peak period will only basically elongate further. It will only basically stretch further. So that will be that is something that the CM would like to avoid in the state of Maharashtra, particularly some kind of relaxations with respect to markets being opening. Two of the biggest markets in Pune will be expected to open on June 1st, and film industry is also expecting to restart shooting in some of the green zone areas. However, the green signal has not come from the government as yet, but efforts are there from the film industry side as well. So yes, some relaxations will be expected, but at least in Mumbai and Pune, there will be more or less the same lockdown which was there in place earlier.
Right, that is expected because the state, remember, has recorded about 99 deaths in the last 24 hours. The cases are only increasing. Arunil, thank you for joining us with those details. Moving on to some sporting action now. several fans have been deprived of all the action. IPL was also postponed, several other. The Olympics also has been postponed. But football fans have now something to look forward to because La Liga is returning beginning June 11th. We're also given to understand that the Spanish League is also going to begin. Karishma joins us for more on this. Karishma, finally, all those fans who've been deprived of all the sporting action over the last couple of months now have something to look forward to.
Well, yes, absolutely, Poonam. It is good news for sports journalists and also for sports fans who will be looking forward to some sporting action, live sporting action, as La Liga returns from the 11th of June. And what we're given to understand is that it will be given a month to complete this season. The remaining season will be completed by the 19th of July 2020. Then there is going to be 1 month break, and the next season, the 2020-2021 season, will begin from the 12th of September. So the Spanish Premier League, La Liga, is all set to resume from the week beginning on the 8th of June. Full flow training will start for all the players. The Spanish Council has said there is a total of 130 people working on this entire system so that the entire return to sport after a 3-month-long break because of the COVID-19 pandemic is smooth, and that everything goes as per the new safety protocols and the safety measures. So La Liga is all set to resume from the 11th of June, and the season is expected to go until the 19th of July before the next season starts in September 2020, Poonam.
Right, Karishma, thank you for getting us all those details. We are going to have a couple of months now where we are going to see some live sporting action there. Moving on to what's making headlines globally. Remember, it was Elon Musk's SpaceX that launched NASA astronauts into the orbit just a few hours ago. That, of course, is one of the top headlines. But the biggest one is also from America, and that is about the violent clashes that have been witnessed over the last couple of days. It talks about violent protests that have engulfed the United States, and the military is on standby. Remember, this is the unrest over a black man's killing, which has now put White House, the Donald Trump administration, into a brief lockdown. But Donald Trump, despite all the political pressure, all the outrage out on the streets, continues to remain defiant. We are getting you visuals from Minneapolis, especially from Atlanta, from several parts of the United States where we have seen violent protests. We've seen protesters clash with the police, which has now prompted the United States administration, the Pentagon, to put the military on standby if things go out of hand. Moving on to some entertainment news now. This is, it is Sunday today. You would like to know what's happening in the world of entertainment. Film shootings, TV serial shootings are all on hold, but people are at home. They are talking about films. They're watching old films. They're waiting for new films to come up. Celebrities are also using this time to the maximum that they have been at home now. Madhuri Dixit is one of those celebrities. Remember, she released a song just a few days ago. The headline in Delhi Times, the entertainment edition, talks about Madhuri, who is quoted to say that no one knew of my musical talent as I never spoke about it. Of course, we've seen her as a lead role actress, as a supporting actress, is giving heft to several movies in the past. This is also something new that she's now taken up. Her musical talent, of course, is now also enthralling her fans. But that is a wrap from me on this edition of the Newspaper Show. We'll be back with all the top headlines and all the top newspapers back again tomorrow morning. Stay with us.